In 2022, we celebrate 130 years of HBCU football. On December 27th, 1892, Livingstone and Biddle College, now known as Johnson C. Smith University, played in Salisbury, North Carolina, with Biddle winning 5-0. Over time, HBCU football has evolved. HBCU football's popularity continues to rise. Millions attend games each year and millions more watch on television. The HBCU bands provide some of the top entertainment in the country. Over that time, some of the best players to ever play in the National Football League played at HBCUs. Every Monday through Friday on the HBCU Football Daily Podcast, national radio and television host Donal Ware takes a look at what's happening in HBCU football and talks with coaches, players, administrators, and media about the 2022 season. Make sure you join the conversation on social media by using the hashtag HBCU130. Now, here's your host, Donal Ware.
It's the HBCU Football Daily Podcast for today, Monday, August 1st. I'm Donal Ware. We are 26 days away from the start of the HBCU football season, and it promises to be an exciting season. One of the teams that we're going to be looking forward to seeing this year and looking at this year's has been very consistent, as a matter of fact. West Virginia State plays in the MEC, or the Mountain East Conference. For those that are familiar with this program, you're no stranger to our guest. If you're watching this on YouTube, you see him right there. If you're listening on our podcast at BOXTOROW.com, we are joined by sixth-year West Virginia State head football coach John Pennington, who joins us here on the HBCU Football Daily Podcast. Coach Pennington, always good to talk with you. First time we're doing this on Zoom. Welcome back to the program.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, Donal. And it's always good to hear your voice, because that means it's football season. You know, we love doing this every year with you, and it means that that the season's right around the corner, and that gets me fired up.
It does. So you guys, you lost 3 of your first 4 last year, but finished the season strong, winning 4 of your last 7. Just kind of take us through last season, of course.
Yeah, you know, we were a pretty young team last season, you know, as far as our starters go. Didn't have a lot of starts under their belt, you know, but we have a very tough schedule in September. Took some lumps throughout that month, but learned a lot, grew a lot. And then, you know, like you said, won 5 out of the last 7 games. And we were, you know, extremely competitive in the other 2, but a lot of those games were won in the fourth quarter, comeback wins, just up and down games. And was really proud of that young team and how they came together and how they, you know, found ways to win throughout the season after such a tough start. And it really gave us a lot of, you know, excitement about where the program was headed.
Is it tough? I mean, you in essence, you play 11 games, and all 11 games, I believe, are conference games. Is that right?
10 of the 11.
10 of the 11. Okay. I mean, it's a big league, you know, I mean, just speak to that. I mean, it's gotta be tough. I mean, in college football, generally speaking, it's tough, but now you got to play 10 of 11 of your 11 games or conference games, vying for a conference championship. I mean, every week obviously means something, particularly for you having to play 10 conference games.
Yeah, you know, it's something that we've grown accustomed to in our program, you know, winning close games, you know, back and forth, overtime, you know, being down a couple touchdowns and finding ways to win. And it's really what we've built our program around, is being mentally tough, being a family, you know, being a tight-knit group. And so it's something that we embrace. And it makes it more fun. You know, my players get mad at me for saying that, but I'm always like, I hope it comes down to the last play. You know, that's exciting. I know we have the advantage because we've been in those scenarios multiple times, and we're comfortable, you know, being uncomfortable at the end of the game. So it is tough. It's an unbelievable conference. There are so many good teams vying for those, you know, to try to get to the top of the conference, us being one of them. And, you know, Notre Dame has won the past couple years. So they're the team everyone's trying to knock off, but there's about 5 or 6 or 7 teams that are right there. And we're trying to, you know, kind of find our way to the top of that group.
I think back, I've been doing this show for 17 years. I think back to when we kind of first started, and West Virginia State was pretty good back in the old WVIAC. Would win, 6-7 games a year, but then it fell on really hard times. I mean, maybe 2-3 games, you come in as offensive coordinator, things start to turn around. You become the head coach. 2017, things really start to turn around, and this is your alma mater too. So you're very invested in this more than just as the head football coach. Speak to how you've been able to really turn this West Virginia State program around.
Yeah, well, I played at West Virginia University, but I'm from Charleston. I grew up here. I went to every football camp they had at West Virginia State when I was a kid. But I think that being from my hometown makes a difference, having connections and wanting to be here and build a dynasty. That's what I want to do is build a dynasty. And we're nowhere near where I want to be yet. We've laid the foundations, and built the values and the culture that we want. But it's a combination of things. It's how incredible the school is, the administration, the athletic director, Nate Burton does a fantastic job. So the whole athletic department is rising, and a lot of that is because of what they've invested into the program. We just got new turf and lights, and we have a new football facility, unbelievable coaching staff, and that's what it takes. It's never some genius at the top. It's always a community, and Yellow Jacket Nation has been incredible. And like you said, there were some hard times, and there were some hard times throughout the history of the football program at West Virginia State. And so now that we have a consistent winner, our alumni base, our fans, everyone that's involved with Yellow Jacket Nation is extremely excited about the future. And that's because everyone is so invested in seeing this program reach that pinnacle of a championship and having a dynasty here at State. So, we're excited that we've built that consistency, but, being 6-5 is just, it makes me sick thinking about it. We've done it quite a few times, and we've had a winning record, but we want to be great. We want to be elite. We want to be the best that's ever been. And right now, that's the thing is, how do we go from good to great? And we've got to take that next step. And we've been, we haven't seen it maybe in our record yet, but I see it in the program. I see it in how our players practice, how they are in the classroom, how they behave. And we're hoping that shows up this season.
I mean, I would think anyway, it has to sort of begin with Donovan Riddick, your quarterback. It's back for you, had a really, solid season last year. You've always had a good staple of quarterbacks, and Riddick is right in line with that. Speak to your expectations for him in 2022.
Well, I mean, it starts with the quarterback, obviously, and we've had some great ones here, but he is just a fantastic leader, human being. He just does an outstanding job with everything that he does. And in my opinion, is the best player in the conference. And he's got to prove it. We've got to prove it together. But I'm expecting, incredibly big things. And I've always believed in him. Even when we signed him in recruiting, I knew he was a special person and a special player. And he showed it a good bit last year. And I think, what everyone saw at the end of last season is what they're going to get this season. And we've built a lot around him, but really what we build around is our culture. And Donovan is a perfect fit in that. And we have the most competitive football team that I've ever been around. I mean, we have more fights in practice and more arms around each other after practice. And it's such a fun dynamic of like brotherly competition, but they really go at each other. And that shows me that we've got a shot. No matter what happens, these guys will fight, scratch, and claw for each other. They'll go right at it at practice and then put their arm around each other at the end and say, "Hey, great job. I'll get you tomorrow," kind of thing. So, Donovan is everything is built around our culture, and Donovan is the perfect fit. And I think you're going to see that this year, and he's going to put up some pretty impressive numbers.
John Pennington is the head football coach at West Virginia State in his 6th season as he joins us here on the HBCU Football Daily Podcast. Who are some of the other guys we need to be on the lookout for and that you're expecting big things from on the offensive side of the football?
Well, we have an excellent left tackle, Mylan Howard, to protect Donovan. So, that's always a good combination. Barry Hill is a slot receiver that is a all-conference caliber player. He didn't have any nominations last year, but caught a bunch of touchdowns. Is a deep threat. He's gonna, he's kind of Donovan's go-to guy. They're from the same city. Kebo Cunningham is another slot receiver, wing, H-back wing receiver type guy that can light it up. Extremely athletic, physical. And those guys have been kind of the guys that have, kind of grown to the top of the offense. But, we just have a lot of guys back. A lot of guys, we have a lot of starts under our belt up front. Pretty much everybody's back up front. We've got at every position, we've got guys that have playing experience. And I think that's going to bode well for us.
And what your thoughts defensively? Who are some of the guys we need to look for on that side of the football?
Well, the leader on that side of the ball is Abraham Cisse. He's a cornerback that has started for us for 4 years. He's Mr. Consistency, and everything kind of starts with him and what he does over there. But we've got a nose guard that's really good, Nazir Jones, an outside linebacker, Jeremiah Covington-Griggs. Both were true freshmen last year, and those two have really shown up. And we got a guy right here from right in our area in South Charleston, Jalen Jones, coming off the edge that is almost impossible to block. And those guys have done extremely well. Henry Houchins, a safety that's got a lot of experience on that side of the ball. And, same thing. We've got about 7 or 8 starters back, a handful of guys that have, all conference recognition. But those are the guys that are really doing a lot of, I know for me as an offensive coordinator that I got to prepare for in practice, and we got to have a plan for.
Is this team, this edition of the Yellow Jackets for 2022, can you compare it to any of the previous 5? And I guess even maybe more specifically, because you had a really good season going back, I think, to 19. I think you were 7-4 right there at the stretch end to possibly make the playoffs last game or win the conference, actually, last game of the season. I mean, is it comparable to that or any of your other 5 teams?
Yeah, I think experience-wise, it's more comparable to 19. And but it's such a unique team. I said the way that the competitiveness is just off the charts. I mean, we'll have a helmet practice, and guys are out there fighting over who won the rep in one-on-ones or skelly. Like, you can't hold. I mean, they just in the weight room, they're constantly trying to beat each other and raise the bar. And that, honestly, that's what I'm most excited about is how they compete. And that, because how the ball bounces and what scheme we run and all the other things are going to matter. But I don't think anything matters more than that. We're going to go out there and max out every opportunity that we have. And that gives us the best chance to win. And so that's what excites me. I know that we've got that. And if we can build on that and create, the schemes and put the people in the right places, if the ball bounces our way, we got a chance to do things that have never been done at West Virginia State. And that's an exciting feeling. And that's because of the players in our program and the culture they've created and that competitiveness. So it's different. We've never had a team that competes like this. And that's what excites me.
Last 2 thoughts. You mentioned, of course, your playing days at West Virginia. You had what was called the catch against arch rival Pittsburgh. And you all, of course, went on to win that game. What do you remember most about those days? And of course, your quarterback was Pat White, who was at Alcorn State and some other places previously. Now is an offensive assistant with the LA Rams.
Yeah, what I remember most about playing, my playing days was the locker room, the relationships that were built, the experiences that I created, how much I learned, how to be an adult, and how much I grew as a person in that time. And our defensive coordinator at West Virginia State and I were teammates at WVU, and we were best friends. So, we have that bond, and that I think trickles down to our players. But we had a rivalry with Pitt, and they're playing again this year, so that's exciting to get the backyard brawl going. And those rivalries are, to me, what made college football, so great. Is that those intense rivalries between fans and players, and it's fun to kind of get that going again. I've done a handful of podcasts with WVU, podcasts about the backyard brawl, and it's a lot of hard work to get that one catch, and that's kind of what I talk to our players about. Is it took me a long time to become an overnight success. It took 5 years to get to that point, to make that one play. But that's what makes this game so special. You have so much work and for so few opportunities, that's what makes it, what it is with the fans and why it's the number one sport in the world.
3 of your first 4 games are at home. Speak to how important it is to get off to that good start as you make that trek for a MEC championship this year.
Well, yeah, we opened with Shippensburg. They were 9-2 last year. Then we've got Frostburg. They were 10-1. Fairmont State, whose record wasn't as good last year, had some difficulties, but they've been a playoff team. And then we have Notre Dame. So, and they were, went to the playoffs, I think won a game or 2 in the playoffs. So, we have 4 playoff caliber teams in September. And it's a blessing because we have to start fast. We have no other choice. We've got to be ready for September and then, build off of some of the success, hopefully, and kind of, grow from there. So getting off to a fast start is, we had a lot of guys here this summer, which was great. And they understand how important it is. They know what the schedule is. There's no getting around it. So we're excited to get Shippensburg, in Institute and have some of those home games and being on our new turf. So that's going to help us. And we got a lot of experience coming back and we're ready for the challenge. Like I told you, we're expecting a lot. I expect a lot out of Donovan. It's because I believe in him and I believe in what we're doing. And I'm not shying away from that pressure and that challenge. And that's honestly what I love about being a football coach is the challenge and the pressure that comes with it. It forces you to be better. And that's going to force our team to have to start fast. And that's exciting.
John Pennington, in his 6th season as the head football coach at West Virginia State, joins us here on the HBCU Football Daily Podcast. The Yellow Jackets open the season on Saturday, September 3rd at home, as Coach Pennington mentioned, against Shippensburg. Coach Pennington, appreciate the time. Look forward to talking with you during the season.
Yeah, Donal, always appreciate you. And 17 years. Wow. That's amazing. Thank you for what you're doing. We love it. We love, our guys work so hard. So for them to get some recognition, it means a lot to us.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the HBCU Football Daily Podcast. You can also listen to the podcast at BOXTOROW.com, iHeartMedia, or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to get your HBCU football fix on BOXTOROW with Donal Ware each weekend on the radio station near you, and on SiriusXM on HBCU, Channel 142, and on ESPNU Radio on SiriusXM, Channel 84. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at BOXTOROW for the latest in HBCU football, and don't forget to tell a friend.